He atzma mahavasol. But here, the Torah itself is creation. That's how Kadosh Baruch Hu is. That's the cleanness. That's how Hashem created the world with the Torah. It doesn't mean it's some sort of a plan or a draft, a drawing. He atzma mahavasol. The Torah itself is mahavasol. Gives existence to the world. That's how Kadosh Baruch Hu brought the energy of creation into the world is with the Torah. She'achiyas v'akiyim shel ha'olam. The Torah is the chiyas and the kiyim of the world. Kamashal ha'makrein, coming back to the mashal of the projector. Shemikoichai neitzra hatmun. Shemikoichai neitzra hatmun. The projector, remember the mashal of the projector, again it's a mashal so it's limited, but the mashal of the projector is that the projectionist is working the projector, and what's being shown on the screen is not itself the chiyas. It's only a projection onto the screen. And were the projector to stop for a second, and were the projectionist to unplug the machine, there would no longer be any image on the screen. So it's through the makrein, through the projector, shemikoich noitzu hatmuna. Kach brias ha'olam haisa mikoach haTorah. So too, the creation of the world is mikoach haTorah. Achiyas halukis mishpashetes u'mechayis olam hiratzon Hashem. The chiyas of that's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from Ein Sof, from the Infinite One. That chiyas, Hashem Baruch infuse that chiyas into the world. The Ratzon of Hashem, v'hihi haTorah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Ratzon of Hashem is the Torah. That's the Ratzon of Hashem is the Torah. Za'omak divrei Chazal, and that's the deeper meaning of what Chazal said. Shekadosh Baruch Hu hisne im kol habriya shitas kayim rakim yisal yikablu Torah. That's the Tanai, the condition that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made with all of creation. That creation can only exist and to continue to exist and to be given continuous life only if the Jewish people are makabel the Torah. That doesn't mean just if we makabel it back then by the first Shavuos, but if we makabel Torah throughout time. As the Gemara says, Hisna HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Ma'aseh Bereishis, Hashem made a condition with Ma'aseh Bereishis. Hashem said, Im Yisom HaKabel Torah. Hashem told all of creation, all worlds. Hashem told all of creation, Im Yisom HaKabel Torah. If the Jewish people accept the Torah, Atem Miskayim, then you will be able to exist. Im Lav, and if not, Ani Machse Eschem L'Tovavo, then you're going to return, and then the projector is off. Then there's no image on the screen. And there's no trees, there's no Albuquerque, there's no New York, there's nothing. The projector is off. The projector is Hashem projected creation through the Torah. And if the Jewish people accept the Torah, then and continue to live Torah, then the projection projects the image of creation onto the screen. If we don't, then the world automatically goes back to Tohu Vavohu. There is no world. There can be no world. Because the world is only a projection, an image of the Ratzon of Hashem that's expressed through Torah Hashem. Even before there was electricity and there was any idea of there being such a thing as a projector, already we find other tzaddikim, for instance, a number of times in the writings of the Beis Yaakov from Ishbitz. And then more in the writings of his son, of Rav Yoshin Henoch, in Tiferes HaChanuchi and in Sod Yesharim, he uses the mashal of there being a very powerful light, and persons in a room, and there's a powerful light that's outside that room, and there are walls, and there's an image that's carved out of the wall in the shape of a human being. There's the image of a person. So that light, there's not a projector, there's just the four projectors. that light that's coming from outside with this powerful sunlight, powerful light that's all you, when you look on the wall of that room, all you're able to see is the image of a person. You see the projection of a person. And those tzaddikim use that mashal to explain Tzimtzum, to explain creation, that the whole that huge infinite light is, of course, that's the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and the way that we are able to experience that light is through cracks, little tiny holes, and through those little cracks and holes, and all of that means the Tzimtzum. Through that, we're able to see this projection on the wall, which is the light itself, which is the actual light. It's just that the light, as it comes through the little cracks on the wall. So that's the or that we see is the or. So we see ourselves, we see Adam, we see man. But the light behind that, or the source of that, is infinite. And that is the Ratzon of Hashem, and the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu projects that infinite light into creation is through the Torah. Therefore, if we don't accept the Torah, so then it means that the cracks, the walls are blocked. It means that it's off. So there's no light. The light is there, but the world is there's no world. There's no creation. So again, when learning this in a very simplistic way, one would ask, why is that if the Jews don't receive the Torah, why is that reason to destroy the world? It sounds like a punishment. I'm making a condition that if you accept the Torah, like with the mountain overhead, if you accept the Torah, then the world will exist. If not, there are no worlds. Why? Why destroy all of the mountains? Let's call Hanofim, Hayafim, and all the beautiful scenery. Why destroy everything? It sounds like Hashem's threatening. If you accept the Torah, then the world will exist. If not, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to. So you imagine Hashem like blowing up all the mountains and blowing up all the cities. It's like, Godzilla and King Kong movie. So that Hashem is putting an end to the world. That's not what it means. Hatshuvahi, the answer is, Shilalo hofaz hatar ba'olam. And that means you and me in our own world of who we are. That without the Torah in the world, ein chiyas v'kiyam la'olam. There's no chiyas, there is no world. So, sof hasipur. Bli makrein, without the projector, without that light shining, ein tmuna. The mountains, the cities, those are images on the screen. Or with the marshal of the Ishbitz, as it appears on the wall. Without the electricity, you could use that. But it's all of creation, the whole universe, all worlds, everything that exists, all malachim, all creation, everything. They're all pictures. And if the makrein, if the projector is not on, then there are no pictures. So it doesn't mean that Hashem is destroying. Hashem is, if you don't take, I'm going to break everything. Hashem is going to start burning up the world, and there'll be tsunamis and earthquakes and destroying the world. It doesn't mean that. It means Ein Shum Davar. The movie's over. There's no movie. That's it. Li makrein ein tmuna. HaKadosh Baruch Hu bara ha'olam kedei she'am Yisrael yushutfim bo v'yichayu ha'olam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world for whatever reason. Hashem Yisrael created the world, and he created Am Yisrael to bring his light into the world, and through that to give chiyas to the world. That's why the good decisions that you and I make give life to the mountains and the trees and the rivers and the lakes and all creation. And the bad decisions that we make take away life from creation. That's how Hashem created the world. You can ask Akasha, why did he do that? It's not for now. That's how Hashem made the world, that Am Yisrael, we are the ones that were chosen to be shutfim, be chayus olam. Lachein, hu masa lahem es Torah. Therefore, he gave us the Torah. He gave us the projector. Shuhi shefa chiyus shel ha'olam, which is the source of chiyus, which is the source of all of the images, all the pictures that in creation. Kol od shelo yisod, page Kuf Lamed Gimel. Kol od shelo yisod ba'olam. So how did the world exist for those 26 generations before we received the Torah? There were 26 generations before Shavuos, before Har Sinai. So how did the world exist? The answer is HaKadosh Baruch Hu mamshech chiyus olam b'chazdam. That's why there are 26 kilo olam chazdos. Chol Hashem Kitov, they're 26 because they correspond to the 26 generations that received a gift of Hashem's light, chesed, without this shutfus with Yisrael, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu running the projector. Now, of course, Hashem continues to, we'll see down a few lines where it says Kamuvan. Of course, Hashem runs all worlds. But this HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world in such a way that he gave us such kaiches. As bo hashosh et eskayim achshavte yisbarach. Finally, he came to Shavuos, to that first Shavuos, and this was, and now HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mekayim the machshava, that original thought of creation. Shirotza b'shutfus Yisrael, that he wants this shutfus. Achein mosla mesatorah, therefore he gave us the Torah. B'kach mosla yidem es koach ha-memshola al holam al Yisrael memshalta. The memshola, the sovereignty, the control, the rule, the koach of creation HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Am Yisrael. Kach Ormim Chazal b'Yushalmi. You understand that this makes our koach of Bechira Chavshis infinitely more significant once we understand what that means. A little bit of an understanding of what that means, Bechira, what free choice, what it means to make a choice, a decision. Yushalmi says on the pasuk, Tilim Rabos Asisa Ata Hashem Elokai Niflei Secha Machshavei Secha Elain. Hashem, you've created, you've done wondrous things, amazing things. Rabos Asisa Ata Hashem Elokai, Hashem my God, but Niflei Secha Machshavei Secha Elain. But your thoughts and your wonders go back to us. Elainim. What does that mean? So the Yushalmi says, L'shovar Rabos Asisa. For the first 26 generations of creation, Rabos Asisa, you did everything yourself. It was all you. That was it. Everything was you. The projection is the projector. Everything was you. L'shovar Rabos Asisa. Mikan ve'elach, meaning from Kabbalah Satorah, from Har Sinai ve'elach, and going forward, Niflei Secha Machshavei Secha Eleinu. The wonders and all of the thoughts of creation, Eleinu, come back to us. Were given to us. Umamshilim Zos Lamelech, and Chazal over there in the Yerushalmi compared this to the king. Shemaso Sachaisim Shlo Livno, who has given his seal, the royal seal, to his son. From now on, you're the one that signs. You sign off on everything. So he brings Masber Rabbi Nachman. He brings Rabbi Nachman in the Kudah Mar Lamed Daled. Sheme'az Matan Torah, that from the time of Matan Torah, Koach HaMemshola Nosum B'dei Yisrael. The Koach HaMemshola, this Koach of ruling and controlling, as I said last week, that are those who hate us and accuse us of trying to control the world are absolutely right. But it's not the way that they think. It's not through banking. it's not that we're all a bunch of Rothschilds. That's not what it means. But they're absolutely right. As we were talking about last week, that's why they're so frightened by us, and that's why they have to set old Jews on fire in Boulder, Colorado. It's not because we're controlling the banks. That's not why. Some Arab is blood-torching Jews, or they're killing some Jew in Washington. That's not why.
It's not Jewish.
I said some Jew. I was talking about his girlfriend.
Oh.
She was Jewish. He tried to catch me on that, Eliezer. It's Rahmanis on the guy also. He was a very good guy.
Yes, he was a Zionist.
Very, very good guy. He fought in the army. He was a good guy. He was killed because they thought he was a Jew. So there must be something in Olam Haba for such a person too. There must be a place in Olam Haba for such a person. So Kivyochel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kim Es Olam Levada. So for those first 26 generations, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the one that was everything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did the whole show. Like you have, sometimes you have a guy that does the whole show by himself. There's like one actor or one comedian or whatever. L'havdil elf, infinite havdalas. It's a solo performance. The first 26 generations was a solo. Kederach Mashal. Hichzik ad akshe v'samakrein. Until now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was holding the projector, projecting all of creation, and Malachim Yichapezim, Chilavos Yachezim, everything's going around. Haram Yikudu Ke'elim, Gevos Gevnetz on the mountains, they're having a good time. All the rivers and the oceans, everything's Gevaldik. All of that is from the projection, this holding the projector, and this is the image that was on the screen. The case and what happened by Har Sinai is absolutely amazing. Amazing is a silly word. It's indescribable. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the projector li'yedeim shel Yisrael. He gave the projector to Am Yisrael. Im yachlitu Yisrael l'chabes es hamakrein, if chas v'chalila, the Jewish people decide to unplug the thing, which is the Torah. If we decide not to keep Torah, not to accept, not to keep Torah, to pull out the plug, Mimela lo tia oitmuna. Mimela, there's no longer any image, it's gone. I told you once, I think, I for sure told you some years ago, about one of my greatest experiences when I was growing up in yeshiva in the 6th grade, when I was actually barely beaten by one of the rebbeim in the yeshiva, but I would do it again. It was so gewaldig. I know I'm not supposed to say that officially, but it was so gewaldig that, right, some of you might remember the story. We had this huge assembly. The whole yeshiva had this assembly, and I don't know, it was some kind of a Tu B'Shvat. I don't remember what it was, but it was something. We had some kind. We were all excited, and there were we were little kids, and there was a movie, and remember they had the old projectors. So projectors with the reels, and that was in the middle of the assembly. And I was sitting in the row where the projector was in the middle of the room, and there was one of the rebbes. He was like, he wasn't actually teaching that rebbe, but he was like the rebbe that did stuff. He was like the utility guy, but he was a rabbi. But he was a utility guy. Like he took care of all the different things. I don't know, but he never actually taught except if somebody was absent, then he would teach. But he was like the guy, the designated rabbi. So he was running the projector, and it was like, I don't remember, some kind of Disney thing with like bunny rabbits and stuff, and it was like it was gewaldig, and everybody was like all excited, and then for some reason the thing, like the projector, went off. And then what happened? There were like 700 kids going, oh. It was like in the middle of and everybody was like, and the rabbi went over there, and he finagled a little bit, something with the wire, and then it went back on, and all the kids went, whoa, and it was back. So I realized that what was happening was like this. There was this wire running down our row, because I was over there, and I saw that what happened was that I moved my chair a little bit against the wire, and when I moved my chair against the wire, because it happened because I was looking, and then it turned off. It turned off the whole thing. I had like almost 1,000 kids going, oh, and the rabbi, but this time like this, he went over and he was going to do it, but I moved my chair this way and moved it again and went back on. I'm telling you, this is what happened, and then all the kids went, yay, And so then like I was saying this to the guy to get next to me. I said, "This is unbelievable," and they were all like giggling with me. And I waited, and so I waited like a minute or two. I waited like a little bit. I waited a minute or two, and I go, and then the whole thing goes off again, and the rabbi goes over me, and I go, and it goes back on. So, but then I went crazy, so I started doing like 10 seconds later. I should have waited, and I should have just ended it. So then all my friends are looking at me, and I go like this, and it goes off. And the next thing I know, he grabbed me, and he pulled me up, he took me out to the bathroom outside the auditorium, and he let me have it. Mom just let me have it. He beat me and it was on the floor. He kicked me in the stomach. It was so kedai. It was unbelievable. And I didn't even, there was not even a note sent home. It was just, that was it. He just finished me off. And I thought, I was nervous. I'm like, to tell my parents or something. He was okay like that. He didn't snitch. He just beat me up, and he left me there on the bathroom floor. But when the guys the whole week, the guys I marched, it was like this is the all-time greatest feat in the history of the yeshiva world. So that's my projector story. So you realize that Bechira Choshes is very powerful. It's a very, very strong thing. If you realize that one little move turns off the projector, and that happens. That's the mitzvah. That the wrong move takes away the chiyas from whatever way. We can see or we don't see. And the correct move, yay! That's the unbelievable chiyah that and all of this is through the Torah. So he says, case Heveres Amakren Yidem Shel Yisrael. Now he gave the projector to Yisrael. Im Yachlit Yisrael Chavos Amakren Mimelot Yotim. Doesn't mean that Hashem is knocking down the world. If we don't use the projector, then Mimela there's no world. Ain't Otmuna. Kvisha Kaiser Rabbi Chaim Velazhin. Sheim Yirega Echad Shabo Lo Yu B'Chol HaGlobus Yehudi Echad Sheilman HaTorah. Rabbi Chaim Velazhin just says theoretically, it can never be. Theoretically, if there would be a time where there wouldn't be one Jew that's anywhere in the world learning Torah, Chas v'Shalom, Ha'olam Yicharev. So you see, that's why it's always like Hashem made the world in such a way where they're sleeping in New York, but they're up in Eretz Yisrael, and vice versa. And all over the world, there are always Jews learning Torah. There can't be such a thing. There can't be such a thing. Ki lo tieh lo chiyus elokis shetichaya Yisrael. Because if Chalila, if there would be a second where there would be no Jews learning Torah, so then there would be no chiyus to the world. That's why I told you, I think I mentioned maybe just a month or two ago, about it's worth repeating, that I think it was in this chabur, but just in this context, it's important to remember that when those who survived through being in Japan and then in Shanghai, and they came to America. So they were together. I think they were still in they were still in San Francisco before they came to New York, or someone there to sell all over. But they were together with the Mashgiach Reb Chaskel, the great tzaddik Reb Chaskel Levenstein was with them, and the guys from the yeshiva, they were talking about how it was strange that when they were thinking about how when they were in Shanghai, the learning was so unbelievable. There was never ever. They said it was the learning that they did when they were in China was stronger than they were back in the Mir Yeshiva. When they were in the yeshiva, the regular program, the learning in Shanghai was unbelievable. The hasmada, the level of learning of the hasmada. Reb Chaskel said to them, it's very easy to understand why. Because he said, we didn't know. They were not getting in any kind of accurate, normal news. They thought that Hitler and Yamach had killed the Jews everywhere else. That was it. That all the yeshivas were wiped out. There was no one else learning. It was done. So we felt within us that we're carrying this achrayus of the Torah. That's it. We're the only ones that are learning. So we were, for whatever reason, we were kept in creation and we're the only ones that are holding the projector. So when you feel that the world depends on you, like you might be some person that you're not a particularly hard worker, but if your kid's starving, and you're sitting around doing nothing, so even the laziest person will feel an achrayus after. Without me, they're not going to eat. So I have to go to work. Now, normally you're not the hardest worker, but I have to go to work. Because if I don't come back with something, these kids are going to die. So there's nachrayis. So Rav Chaskel said, we felt the weight of all creation on our shoulders. So how can you waste time when you learn? And Rav Chaskel was telling them that it's still that way. And we weren't wrong. Baruch Hashem, there were other survivors besides us, but that feeling is a feeling that a Jew should have. Not just when there's a Holocaust. That feeling of the achrayus, the weight, not in a bad way, Chasson, but the weight, the seriousness of my bechira, the significance of my choices. Like, whether I make a bracha or not, whether I daven or not, whether I sit and learn, whether I say lashon hara or I don't say this word. It's big. It's beyond anything that we can measure. We don't see that, nor that we should have this bechira. What Rav Chaskel was saying is we felt this. We felt this responsibility. That's what Rav Chaim is saying, that theoretically, if there would be nobody learning, if there would be no Torah, there'd be no worlds. Not because of anything being destroyed, just that the movie's over. There's no movie. It's done. Ha'olam yichar, ki lo tiyeh lochiyas elokish t'chayos. There's no Ratzon of Hashem flowing into creation. There's no light being projected onto the wall. There are no cracks in the wall. Any of the whatever Moshe like. It's not. There are no images. Kamuvan, of course. Choshel L'Tzayin, of course, we all know, but it's important to just mention. She'ena kavana she'am Yisrael bo b'mkom HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Doesn't mean that we took over and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was on vacation. He gave us that Hashem gave us the projector, and like he went to Hawaii or something. That's not what it means. It was in a Pesach program. HaKadosh Baruch Hu k'var eno mechayis olam chalila. To think that Chas v'Shalom, that Hashem is not mechayah the world, He's not giving life to the world. Chas v'Shalom. B'vadai shekadosh Baruch Hu mechayis hakol tamid la'ad la'ol me'olam. And much of the writings of Kabbalah are on this subject of how to understand how this works. What does that mean that Hashem gives us the projector, but He's running that's what you learn this for. You can learn that in Hafshachad, you learn that in Tanya, you learn that in the Zohar Kodesh, what that means. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu mechayis hakol tamid la'ad la'ol me'olam. Ela shekoydem lachein hayehu yisbarach mechayis hakol levado. Before the Torah was given, Hashem did everything levado, by Himself. L'achar Matan Torah shitef es Yisrael ito. And after Matan Torah, He put us to work. After Matan Torah, He put us to work. He made us into shutfim. Commercial zera machashmal. I mean, parents do this all the time. That with a little child, let's say you're building something, you're putting together something. So you call over your kid, and you say, I need help. I need help. And you give the kid something, a hammer or something, and to help. You can help Abba, Tati, Daddy, whatever. You can help me. I need help. I can't build this without you. I can't build this without you. And the child feels the excitement of that of what he's doing, and he is being poiled. I know the father does give him something to do. Of course, it's kima saying. That's what it says in the pasuk. I don't remember the exact words. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kindness is that He gives us the sense that we did everything. Of course, he's behind everything. But the chesed is like the father with the son building the bench in the backyard, that it's kima asayu. The child feels that it's kima asayu. And there is that significance of the child's engagement in that work. Ata seshalom leish kima asayu. Ata seshalom leish kima asayu. It says kima asayu. It's not ma'asayu be'emes, because everything's Hashem. But ata chashem ha'chesed, ata seshalom leish kima asayu. The chesed of Hashem is that you, and then Hashem rewards us. The same way that the father says to the son, comes in, he brings his boy inside, and he says to his wife, to the mother, did you see what Yankee built? Look at this beautiful thing that Yankee built. Come outside. You have to see what Yankee built. You have to see what he built. Unbelievable what he built. And the kid is like, and the mother says, you built that? The father says, yeah. The father says, he built it. And the mother says, you did. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And yeah. It's kima asay. Ata sesham leish kima asay. Kima asay is it's an unbelievable thing. But the thing does have the chesed, the stamp of the child. That's a chesed of Hashem that he did such a thing. He says, "Kemoshel zerma chashmal." Back to the moshel of the electricity, the current. Shechevrat chashmal mamshichas hazerm. The energy company, of course, that's where it comes from. So as long as you're paying for your electricity, the company is sending the electricity over there. Ad la'arona chashmal habeti. Now you have your box in your house someplace, where you have all the fuses in the box, and the electric company is sending the electricity derech that aron. It goes by way of that aron into your house. Now you have your fuses, and you have the achrayis as the balabast to make sure that the fuse is on in the upstairs bedroom, the fuse is on in the basement, the fuse is on in the kitchen, and you have all the switches. And if the electrician is not from Chelm, he labeled the switches for you. You know, many of them are from Chelm, so you have to just guess. But if they were labeled, then it says over there, it says kitchen appliances or something, and you go over there, and that's the fuse. And the balabas has nachrayis. So if you're a lo yuslach, and all the electricity goes out, and your wife says to you, "Can you please take care of that?" Nothing to do about it. You have to spend yoshvei choshev with some of it. We have to spend the rest of our lives in darkness, or to spend the money to go to an electrician. Now, sometimes you do need an electrician if something is wrong in the box, but otherwise it just means going to the box and turning on the things. When we were younger, they had to unscrew these things. Some of you might remember, but now it's a switch. Probably they're making you think you could have it on your app. I don't know if they did that yet. There's some sort of an app for your house that you could turn the fuses on. But the electricity comes from the plant by way of the aron, the closet, the cabinet. And then the balabas has nachrayis to make sure that he's mamshich this current that's there, this powerful current, this ein soif. And his achrayis is make sure to daven. That's the switch. Make sure that you bench. It says benching. Switch. Make sure to learn. Switch. And chalil, if a person's doing the wrong things, then he's turning the switch the other way. That's how it is. It's unbelievable achrayis. It doesn't mean that there's no balabas over the electricity plant. There's the big boss, but you're the little boss, and that's in your house. You're the little boss. That's the shutfus. He put you in charge of that box. He gave you your life, and the Baruch Shalom put you in charge of your Torah mitzvahs, your Yiddishkeit, your Matan Torah, your Shvuos, your Maimon HaSinai, your Yiddishkeit. That's your. He gave you. That's your box with your talents and your issues and your family and your Yetzer Hara Matalas. The whole program, that's your box. And your box is not the same as the other guy's box. That's your box. Why is it that my parents were nuts? It's your box, no? Akasha. Well, this guy's parents, how come they're rich and they get? That's his box. And what about the kid that has no parents, God forbid? They were killed someplace. No, look, that's your box. But this is what you got. And Hashem, everything is labeled. And this is your box. The big boss is in the plant. He says, "V'ha'adam achrei l'hamshichel kol chad v'habayis." The person's got to make sure that he takes care of the fuses. Kach am Yisrael, so it is with am Yisrael. Shutfim b'hamshachas rotzna Hashem lo'el. That's how Hashem's book made us. Shutfim, little bosses, little balabatim. V'risanenu hu k'mayt sinor, hashutav b'hamshachas hamayim, hashotef b'hamshachas hamayim. Like we're also with irrigating a field, and bringing or a hose and so on. The water comes from the house, and the water in the house comes from underneath, and then there comes from the reservoir, right? Wherever it comes from the river. But it's all making sure that you turn on the right switches and you open up the valves and so on, close the valve. Our whole life is about opening valves, closing, turning on switches, turning off switches. That's all, everything. Sina zamolachas hamayim. Same thing with the pipes that they take the water. Umashpia la'an hem yagiu, ubeisa otzma. And depending on those pipes and the switches and the valves, that is with that's mashpia. Where does the water go, and how much water goes to that place? So how do you turn the valve? How much water? Where should the water go? That Hashem's Baruch said, that's you. Only you, not the nations of the world. Only Am Yisrael. They have their own choices, and in the world of their choices, they have their switches on and off. But it's not turning on or turning off worlds and universes. It's their Indian. But ours is a shuttas, the Kadosh Baruch Hu of all of creation. You could direct the water to the right. You could direct it to the left. And you can even turn off. If you turn off the main, the water won't go anywhere in the house. If you turn off the faucet, it won't go to the faucet, to the kitchen. But if you turn off the main, then the whole house is going to be dry. It's not going to go anywhere. So Am Yisrael was given this koch of being the ones through whom the Ratzon of Hashem, through the Torah, and Hashem gave us the Torah, and through our connection to Torah, our use of Torah, we project creation, we water creation, we're Machayu, Mahava, all of creation, which are billions and trillions of appliances, infinite, countless appliances, molecules, cells, trees, clouds, all of creation is through Am Yisrael turning switches on and off. And that's the Ratzon of Hashem, and that's the true meaning of Istachel Kutshabichu B'Raisa of our Alma. I'm going to have to go a little bit early, so we'll finish the Parak Mitzvah next time. Okay, have a good Shabbos, everybody.